We look to Venezuela, which announced this week it will drop the U.S. dollar in trade transactions. Venezuela's industry minister, Tarek Al-Assami, made the announcement Tuesday, saying the country will no longer submit to any monetary domination as U.S. intervention.
We have many options for Venezuela, including a possible military option if necessary. It's a regime that, frankly, could be toppled very quickly by the military if the military decides to do that.
It'll make a big difference to the United States economically if we could have American oil companies really invest in and produce the oil capabilities in Venezuela.
Governments and nations focus on the coronavirus. There's a growing threat that cartels, criminals, terrorists, and other malign actors will try to exploit the situation for their own gain, and we must not let that happen. We will never let that happen.
Hi everyone, I'm Anya Parampil and you're watching Redlines. The United States has announced charges against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. On March 26, the Justice Department unveiled charges against President Maduro and 14 other current and former Venezuelan officials, including the country's industry and defense ministers. The charges focus on alleged illicit activity, including narco-terrorism, corruption, and drug trafficking. In making the announcement, Attorney General William Barr declared the move was, quote, focused on rooting out the extensive corruption within the Venezuelan government, a system constructed and controlled to enrich those at the highest levels of the government. Yet the decision highlighted Washington's hypocrisy when it comes to narco trafficking in Latin America, with critics pointing out U.S. allies, not Venezuela, are responsible for a majority of the drug running in the region. In response to the U.S.'s decision to charge President Maduro, the former Vice Secretary General for the United Nations in Vienna, Pino Arlacchi, tweeted, quote, the charges against Nicolas Maduro for drug trafficking are political garbage. In 40 years of anti-drug work and as a UN Vice Secretary General, I never came across Venezuela. The U.S. is the first consumer of drugs implied. Colombia is the top producer.
Major press conference from our military leaders, which included our president, and it was a rather strong announcement, and nobody would ever accuse them of doing it on purpose to distract from coronavirus or take advantage of the coronavirus, and they're going to go over. But they're talking about, and they're in the midst of having the biggest naval buildup since 1989, and that's when Bush went in and with a large naval force and got rid of Noriega. And the excuse is, we're protecting the American people from the drug dealers. I wonder if that'll include the CIA as well. Do you think? I mean, I think there was evidence that the CIA has been involved in drug dealing. I think it's true that Maduro was indicted. Yes. He's in a U.S. court just like they did with Noriega, and I always thought this was pretty. I mean, Noriega was no angel. He was an ally of the CIA, and here he was indicted up here and put in an American prison. If you don't think that's arrogance, I would think South Americans and Central Americans should be a little bit annoyed with that. But for us to think that we have to spend billions of dollars to have this huge naval buildup to plan an attack against Venezuela's leaders, it really doesn't make much sense how that is going to help the American people. Yes, we have a drug problem, but I think the drug problem are people who use too much drugs.
See that guy standing next to the president yesterday, our old friend William Barr?
For the Department of Justice, one of our highest priorities must remain destroying the Mexican cartels.
What has changed that is allowing these assets to be deployed now, whereas General Barr said in the past they were not available?
Well, for a long time, we've had a lot of drugs coming into our country, and it's not that it's increased. We've probably got it down a little bit, but it's still a tremendous number.
Well, a younger William Barr wrote the legal justification for the U.S. invasion of Panama way back in 1989. The same guy. They never go away. The idea that you can arrest a foreign leader, let alone citizen, for violating American laws at the time was untested. The Carter administration had determined that you can't do that. And this was one of the big achievements of Herbert Walker Bush, to say, oh, yes, we can do whatever we want. But not only that, last week, Barr indicted Maduro, the president of Venezuela, as a drug trafficker. But not only that, they put a $15 million bounty on his head, a bounty on the head of a foreign leader. That's something that a gangster does. It's not something that a country does.
That the State Department has offered a reward of $15 million for the capture, for the conviction of Maduro.
Hi there. It's good to see you. This is basically an unprecedented action, and it's coming at a time of a global pandemic when all countries are weakened. And so I guess I'm hoping you can tell us a little bit more about why you're doing this now and explain the timing.
Well, this has been in the works for a long time, and actually, we could have gone a little bit earlier before the full brunt of the pandemic struck us. But actually, this is good timing. Because the people in Venezuela are suffering.
It's absolutely insane. But here we had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs yesterday. Here's what he said. They are trying to tie it in with the coronavirus. Here's what Milley said, General Milley. We came upon some intel, of course they'll never tell us, that the drug cartels as a result of COVID-19 are going to try to take advantage of this situation and try to infiltrate additional drugs into our country. We're at war with COVID-19. We're at war with terrorists, and we're at war with the drug cartels as well.
We're at war with COVID-19. We're at war with terrorists, and we are at war with the drug cartels as well. This is the United States military. You will not penetrate this country. You will not get past Jump Street. You're not going to come in here and kill additional Americans.
At war with everyone, including the American people. But that's their justification. They're tying the two together to start waving the war flags toward Venezuela.